Hi everyone. This is an instructional video on how to do the research double journal entries that you will need for your Fahrenheit 451 multimedia project. So I'm recording this separate because it is a little bit on the lengthy side and not as lengthy as the actual explanation of the project. So I wanted to do it separate so not to overwhelm you. But really quick, I do want you to see that the project itself, there are three components of this project. So one is the project, which we're going to actually go over in a separate video. The research journals, which that's what I'm going to do with you here in a second, and then the works cited page. So those are three things that have to be within that project. The double-sided research journal page, that entry is right here, and that actual project for Fahrenheit 451 is here, and this is the rubric. So I just wanted to clarify that really quick. So really, this is a lot simpler than it's going to seem as you're looking at it. That's why I want to explain it to you. What's going to seem kind of more on the difficult side is that you have a few entries that you're going to have to do. So for each entry or for each source that you're going to find, you are going to have 5 entries. So there's 4 pages total here. Okay, so this is the second source and this is the first one. So all you are doing is after you pick which project you would like to do, you're going to go look for information and you're going to go look for research. Okay. You're going to have one source for this slide. And then for the next slide, you're going to have a source. Total, all you need is 2 separate sources. So it can be an edu page, a government page, .org. It can be anything that has legitimate research on it. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to put down the title of whatever source it is that you have, the author if there is one, and then the actual link. So that's going to go at the top. So then you're going to find in that one article, all you're doing is you're finding 5 quotes that you would maybe want to use for your project. You don't have to use them. You could use 1, you could use 2, you could use 5. It's totally up to you. But you are going to find 5 things that you possibly could use. Okay. So you are going to have a quote here, a quote here, a quote here, and a quote here and here for that one source. So let's say I'm looking at an article and I really, I'm going to pause for just a second. All right, sorry, I thought it would be better to have an actual example for you. So let's say one of the options you have is to write a children's book. So some of the research that I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the research question for that project. So if I pull over that slide, which hopefully you've looked at this already. If not, you're going to want to probably look at this first before you look at the other ones. Okay, so this is one of the options that I have is to create my own children's book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the research questions. What makes a good children's book? So that's what's going to guide my research. How do writers convey theme in children's book? Those are the things that I'm going to look at to kind of guide my research. So on each slide, depending on what you pick, there's research questions. So that should be what guides your research, okay? So if I look at that, I'm going to be like, okay, well, obviously I need to find a website that talks about how I can look at what makes a good children's book or what helps to develop the theme of a children's book. So I pulled up, let me go, sorry, I gotta find it again. So I pulled up a website that talks about that, right? So I'm like, okay, let's see. What's one of the quotes that I want to pull into that? So I can say, um, write write a book for children, not for adults. So that would be something that would be good that maybe I would want to use. So let's see. Um, I'm going to take this quote here. So some people think that writing a book is the same, whether it's for adult or kids, couldn't be further from the truth, right? So I'm like, okay, that's a really good quote that I think I'm going to want to use. So if I go back to my, hopefully it copies, there we go. So that's the quote I'm putting in. What I'm going to do from that one source is I'm finding 5 quotes. So I need to make sure that source is long enough to where I can pull at least 5 quotes from it. So I pulled that one source, right? So the second part of this column is my reaction to that. And it's pretty simple. There's not really a wrong or right answer there. It's just how are you reacting to that? So basically, you can ask yourself some of these questions. How does this connect to me? How does it make me feel? Why does this moment surprise you? Um, so for me, if I'm looking at that, um, I would say I I don't want to say kind of, I would say I sort of figured that would be true because what is interesting to adults is probably not as interesting to kids. So that would basically be um, my reflection of that quote, right? I'm just kind of like, yeah, I kind of get that. Or my reflection may have been like, oh, I really didn't know that. I thought maybe kids' books were very much like adult books. So and that was a surprise to me. So it's very simple. So you're doing that for 2 sources. So I would need to find another source if I'm writing about, if I'm going to do the children's book project, I would need to find another source that talks about writing children books, or the other thing was how do writers convey theme in children books. So maybe I would want to research that question and just type it into Google, see what articles come up, and then I would have those 5 quotes that I could possibly use. That is it for this. That's all you have to do. It's very simple. You're copying down a total of 10 quotes, 2 sources, right? 5 quotes for each source, and you're reflecting on each of those quotes. It's very, very easy. And then you just have to remember to write your title. So, like, for example, the title for this would be, if I go back to it, How to Write a Children's Book in 9 Easy Steps. So that would go into my title. I would look for an author if they have it, and then I would just copy my link up here at the top. That's all it is. So it's pretty easy. It looks a little overwhelming, but really in general, it's very easy. So this part of your assignment is for points. So if you look at the rubric for this assignment, that's in the classroom, you do have to have um, your research journals, your information, creativity, presentation points, all of that. Those are all worth points. So if you leave this out, you're going to be missing points, and points are going to be deleted from not doing each section. So this is worth a certain amount of points. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies that for you. And if you have any questions, please let me know.